What up, guys? Sorry about last week. It was Mama's birthday week, so you know what that means. Yeah, we didn't get much time to film. I did take her on a beautiful dinner. But back to the Ultimate Daily Driver Land Rover Mama's dope rig build thing, majigger. You know, we got axles 2 weeks ago. We got axles. This week, we got a Chevy van. This is a 2004 GMC 2500 van. This was given to me by my buddy Rod. He had bought it with hopes of yanking the LS out of this and putting it in one of his Toyotas. But after he picked this thing up, he sold off all of the rest of the parts on this thing. He made his money back and he gave up on the LS project. I think he's gonna go Duramax in his Toyota. So it was given to me. So today we're gonna get this LS out of here. And there's also in the back there, ooh, a 4L80. So based on the title, this is a 4.8, not a 5.3, which is fine because I used to have a 5.3. So I have cranking rods that'll go into this motor when we're ready to rebuild it and put it in the new daily. But for now, we got to get the sucker out of here. So we're going to yank this core support off of here, pull it all out. Luckily for me, the trans and everything is already out of this thing. Awesome. Anyway, free come up. And I thought I was going to be able to get some stuff done in peace today, but supervisor had to show up. So now I really got to get some work done. All right, well, we got this far. We got the front accessories and stuff off of this. I'm doing this very crude because I don't really need anything but the bracket and the motor itself. I have a harness at home. I have everything else at home. But one cool thing I did find, when I pulled the ECU, it's a blue and a green plug. I thought for sure that this van up to 05 was a blue and red. So this is cool because this is the ECU that runs fly-by-wire throttle body. Actually, they all will, but I like the blue and the green harness better, which is cool because I have like a really long lead now. So when I make my own harness for the Rover, we got something to start with. Sweet. So now I'm going to go ahead and get these coil packs off. I'll get this intake manifold off of here so that we can get this thing ready to pull it out. And I'll be honest, if you were going to pull an LS out of something, pulling it out of a van sucks, but hey, it was free, right? A little extra work, who cares? All right, I got the coil packs off, the coil pack straps, and I got the rest of the harness out from behind the motor, so now all I gotta do is take this intake manifold off, and we should just be able to pull that intake manifold right out of there. All right, day 7, and we're finally ready to pull it out. I'm just kidding, we're only like 3 hours in. Anyway, we got the AC compressor off, and the bracket, the motor mounts are all just kind of hanging in there. I got the exhaust manifolds off, which were kind of easy, especially in a van, because you just crawl inside. Do it right from the driver passenger seat. Anyway, we are ready now. We're gonna go get the forklift, shove a fork in there, and yank this thing out. Let's go. Ta-da!
Hold your first engine.
We did it!
Yay!
Yay! All right, so this is a cart that I've had for a while. I built it for an LS when we were moving LSs around, but now I'm gonna use it. And I went on Amazon and got me some of these cheapy little casters. So we're gonna weld a couple of these on the corner so we can roll this motor around, because it'll be sitting on the ground for a minute until we get the rest of the Rover all together. So let's go ahead and get these guys welded up around here. All right, so we got the van back outside. We got the LS here. And looking this thing over, does appear to be a 4.8. Usually if it's built in the 4.8, they'll scribble some marks over the 4.8. If it's a 5.3, they'll scribble over the 5.3, which is below it. This is a 4.8, and it's got the 862 heads, which are a decent head. These or the 709s are probably pretty good for a budget LS build. The 243s and the 799s have like a little bit higher compression, but these are gonna be great heads to put on this motor. Again, I'm pretty sure I have a crank and rods for this to turn it into a 5.3, but we'll figure that out later. Because pulling the LS out of the van went way quicker than we thought it was going to, we're gonna go ahead and drag this thing over to the lift and get this thing separated. Hopefully by tomorrow night. But let's get this thing over there on the lift. It's in the lift. So if you remember last time, we got most of the stuff off. Had gotten the brake stuff off, and guess what? Brake line. Silly British engineers made it go through the fender right there instead of coming all the way down. So now I have to open up the brake system and make a mess, which I'll catch it, but I gotta take that brake line out of the fender. This side, everything just is out of the fender already. Take the master cylinder out, like dangle it, everything's happy. Goes into the fender. But we are gonna get this thing up in the air right now and take a look underneath. I know I have to pull the fuel filler neck thing out of the side, and we'll see what else is under there that I gotta do. Pretty sure I gotta do the 2 shift cables, but that's about it. So let's get this thing in the air. FYI, the supervisor is still hanging strong, making sure I do everything right on this thing. And he is just having so much fun. It is cool that he's finally at that age where he's like almost self-occupied. We've been here all day and he's been just hanging out all day in his little playpen thing, stacking blocks and donuts and having a good old time, helping Dad run the forklift and stuff. But anyway, let's get this thing in the air. All right, so we are up in the air. And I've never pulled a Rover body, but I do know that there's 2 bolts up here. Yeah, look at that burn on my back of my wrist. That's cool, huh? So I know there's 2 body bolts. Right there's one of them. And there's the other one. So those 2 come from the top. I got another nut there and a big one back here. And then another one right there. So there's 6. I got these 2 which come from inside the cab, and then I got these 2 nuts, or these 2 bolts that are back here on the back of the frame. Fuel filler comes off pretty easy, stays with the body. All this harness stays with the chassis. I think the only other hard part is this harness that comes out of the trans tunnel that goes to the transfer case and the XYZ switch and all that stuff. I just have to unplug all that. And the one cable that goes to the transfer case, because this does not have the two cables for the center diff lock. So that's one thing I don't have, is there's usually a cable right there for the center diff lock, but we don't have that on this one, so we should be pretty good. I don't think. There's just a shift cable that comes out of there, which goes over here to the XYZ, and one other one that goes to the transfer case. I think we should have this chassis and body separated pretty quick. I don't know how many of you know, but I am super excited about these two lines right here. That's your rear AC. And if you live on the West Coast, you'll be happy to know that this thing has rear air. That's probably my, that is the coolest thing about this whole chassis. And it goes with the body, by the way. All right, what's up, boys and girls? We're back. And today was a pretty rough day at work. We got pretty crappy. We're pretty dirty. Anyway, we're gonna get this body off today, I promise. All right, so we did manage to get these nuts off of this. This is a 13 millimeter wrench on top, 15 millimeter nut. I got that one. I gotta get a wrench on the inside of the cab. This bolt, same thing. It's a 13 on top, 15 on the nut. And this one right here, this is the rear one. These guys came right out. This is again a 15. No problemo. I got to do that. I don't even know what that is. It's like, what is that? I don't even know. All right, well, anyway, we got to get this off. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to cut it off. We got to pop this guy off, which is you pinch these two. Yes, my supervisor is back, if you can't tell by the banging over there. Pinch and pull. All right, well, I don't have enough strength in my fingers, but we go back up here, getting this cable off. XYZ switch plug thing guy, that plug, there's a twisty guy right here. This is a little twisty guy. That guy comes off. Shift cable. You gotta pull this little pin guy out, which I did. And then there's another oh Jesus clip right here, because if you lose it, you go, oh Jesus. And then that goes like that. And that goes out. I gotta unplug this cable, but that just comes out of that hole, and we should be good there. Unplug that, pull this cable off that bracket, and then we'll get the rest of these chassis bolts out. All right, we got all the basic ones, and then the two mounts that are on the frame is that bolt right there under the seat. There's a little 13 millimeter bolt. Looks like it goes nowhere. Yeah, it goes under there. So, and then you also have to remove the rear bumper, and especially if you have a 7-pin, that becomes very complicated. It's very easy though. You just pop the taillights out, and there's two bolts. One there, one there. How silly is that? Whole rear bumper held on with two bolts. Now I just got the back two frame rail ones, which are like right here in the middle, which I gotta let it down a little bit further to get those. There's a couple of harnesses on the transfer case, but we can get the body up just enough that you can reach in there and pop those. All right, and then up front, you do have to take the steering shaft off. If you take the key out of the ignition, the steering wheel stops. And if you recall, if you're doing like a Jeep steering wheels don't lock when you pull the key out. So you take the seat belt, wrap the seat belt through the steering wheel, and then latch it in. That way you don't screw up your clock spring, so that you don't pop your clock spring. All right, then you just have these last two bolts. It's 13 on top, 15 on the bottom. I think I'm gonna have to put a wrench on the bottom and a 13 socket on the top. I don't know, we're gonna figure this out. But I gotta pop that guy, and then we can get this body off. Brake lines run through tabs through the body, but they can run on the chassis, but they come from the chassis, so I just cut them. Because I'm gonna redo them anyway. So I just cut these brake lines out of here so that we can now lift the body off. Yeah, I got impatient. But with that being said, I think we're ready to pull this body off. All right, this is a 16,000 pound bend pack lift, which is probably not an ideal lift to be doing this because these arms are very long, but I think I got it. So now we're gonna see if we can get this body off. 3, 2, 1. We gotta get in there in a minute and get that shift lever, get that shift linkage out of there. But I think we're okay up here. All right. I think I got everything out of there. Everything's unplugged. Now we just go up. Sweet. Now I'm gonna go home, and tomorrow we will make a cart and hold that body. So there it is. It's the first time I've ever separated a Rover. Done a million Jeeps. Almost the same. Let's check this thing out. All right, so she's not in bad shape. She's got a little bit of surface rust on this guy. The arms, which we will be losing anyway. Yeah, the whole rear end. It's all pretty good looking frame. That's gonna go. We're gonna make a new one of those. Yeah, she's in pretty good shape. By the way, we figured out what this Romex is. This Romex goes all the way back here. It went all the way to the trailer plug, so I'm assuming that might have been auxiliary power, which is even funnier, but yeah, that's what that is. I don't know why it ran down both. Didn't it run down both sides, babe?
No, just one.
Just one? Oh, yeah, well, there it is. Yep, supervisor's ready to go home. So we are heading out of here. I did get that off in one piece. Yeah, the body?
Yeah, everything looks really good.
Immaculate. Gas cap cover, or the fuel, that's how you access the fuel pump. That cover is rotted, and all of them have always been like that. Wheel well flaps a little rusty, but other than that, the body, look at that, immaculate, crazy good condition. So we will be using this body for sure. Nice. All right, so today we pushed the chassis back over in that hole over there where we got her from. And then we have this little cart here. I made this cart out of some scrap that I had. I actually had this whole square. It's like 42 by 70 something square. And I just put some Amazon casters on it. And I had some 2x2 material. Now I was gonna make just a little cart just to put this body on. But then I figured I should probably make a nice cart because I'm sure this is not gonna be the only Rover that I'll ever take apart. So then we got the front stand, which will go to these two body bolts right here, that one and this one. And the rear stand is 9 inches taller because we are gonna go into this and we're gonna go to these two bolts inside, and that's 9 inches as per the frame. So now we're just gonna bolt these guys up there and then lower it down onto that frame and weld her up. All right, she's on the ground. I will probably put some supports in there later, but we're just gonna make sure she's centered and then go get the glue gun and hot glue gun those things on there. All right, and there you have it. She's sitting on a cart. So now we're just gonna go park this thing back over there. We're gonna move some stuff around, and then next week we're gonna get to possibly doing the chassis. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, cool. We got a body split. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.